Hello everyone, this is my review of TNA Impact Wrestling for November 12th, 2014, and really a mismatch of things that happened on Impact this weekend. And by that I mean like you had some at least good continuity, some areas of storylines, and some of them were just such a jumbled mess. You had no idea what they were really going for in that segment, and just throwing twists in there for no apparent reason. For the most part, the in-ring action was relatively good. And that's come to be expected from Impact. These guys do put good matches on. Maybe not necessarily tell decent stories inside of the matches, but they at least put on really good matches. And I have to throw with the exceptions in there of the Terrell and Madison Rayne match. I felt it just came off really slow and sluggish. And you've definitely seen both of them, maybe not together, but both of them put on better matches in the past. And anytime Rebel was in the ring, woman can't wrestle. She doesn't know how. It doesn't seem like she knows how to move in the ring at all. It doesn't look fluid in any way, shape, or form while she's actually trying to perform inside the ring itself. So outside of that, everything else came off really well inside of the ring. Though back with the Madison Rayne Terrell area, at the least point there, you get a quick into a story to a short storyline between the two of them, with Terrell going over on Madison Rayne this week, and you've had Madison Rayne turn heel. They can potentially use this down the road if they need to, and bring it back for any kind of reason. But you get a quick closeout here, which obviously leads Terrell to having the backstage segment with her and Gail Kim about trying to get to Havoc, who had been attacking them over the past couple months, and leads to Kurt saying he's going to have a triple threat match for the Knockouts title with the two of them and Havoc. That's alright. I mean, it's not necessarily the best kind of storyline. I never really like seeing the two faces go into a triple threat match. It just comes off a little bit weird, because almost in a triple threat, you would rather see them not. You would rather see them not, go after all three of them, just go after each other. But for the most part, the best way of doing it is two heels, one face, and then you kind of get the interaction with the two heels trying to beat up the face, and trying to add a bit of duress to the face throughout the match, and potentially tell a story of maybe that face overcoming the odds to win the match or something in that sense. But we'll see where that match itself goes. You had somewhat a conclusion with Gunner and Samuel Shaw here. Now, don't get me wrong, the storyline between the two of them I felt was actually pretty good. The match with Samuel Shaw and Gunner was really good this week, the no disqualification match. I felt it just came off really, really good between the two of them. They did a great job of trying to time out spots. The interactions with Brittany were were maybe a little bit weird, but once they got past all that, it was kind of it came off really good at least in my own mind. Especially with last week's promo with Samuel Shaw and Brittany, I really don't like where they're going with the characters, because they just did not cut a good promo in any way, shape, or form. So we'll see where they actually go with it here in the near future, and I will talk about the near future here very soon as well in a different video about TNA in general. But this brings me to where it kind of got a little weird throughout the whole show, and that was the James Storm, the whole Revolution deal, and trying to get Davey Richards to join the group, and you have him and Eddie Edwards out there, and it comes down to the point where Davey Richards decides to not join the Revolution and everything in that aspect, which leads to what you would have expected, a good beatdown between from the Revolution people, Sonata, Manic, and James Storm on the Wolves, and you expected them to leave them lying. Where out of nowhere, they decide to bring back the Feast or Fire tag team title case, which honestly at this point everyone had forgotten about it. Honestly, I had forgotten about it, and now they're just bringing it back. Like, it's been there the whole time. They had been mentioning it for months and months and months that he's had this. No, they haven't even mentioned it for probably like the last 6 months, and they just bring it back out of nowhere. And then out of nowhere as well, Abyss joins the Revolution. Really? Unless if I completely missed it, as far as I know, recently, James Storm and Abyss have had no interaction, and now all of a sudden they're just together. And now they're tag team champions to go along with it. Oh man, just in my own personal opinion there, that just came off bad. It didn't come off good at all in any way. And now you just have a mishmash of people with the tag team titles when you could have potentially done something more with the Wolves down the line. And I mean, we'll actually see where they go with it. Maybe they're now going to have a triple threat of some kind with the Wolves and the Hardys and Storm and Abyss, or they might just continue playing off of the leg injury angle that Davey Richards had from before. And we'll just see where it goes from there. But this week was just bad. You also had at least a decent promo from Bram talking to Tommy Dreamer about Tommy Dreamer and Devon, challenging them to challenging Tommy Dreamer to a hardcore match. It was a decent promo, and at least in my own personal opinion. But we'll see where the match actually goes within this, and see if they can actually tell a decent story to go along with it too. You had Eric Young and Rockstar Spud continuing their deal with Tyrus and EC3. Man, they're not even really putting Tyrus over as a big monster in any way. He's already lost a couple matches since coming in. He hasn't even been in there for a month. You would figure they would try to put him over more as a monster and maybe have him go over EC3 here. And in all honesty, I really don't know why they didn't try to go that route, but they had Tyrus actually lose to Eric Young this week, and again, it just kind of came off a little bit weird. This brings me to the last point of the show, which was the continual interactions of Bobby Lashley especially after last week, where it seems like he's turning on MVP. He was looking for MVP, asking Kenny King where he was, and obviously Kenny King said he wasn't going to be there. He then, of course, was also looking for Bobby Roode. He asked Kurt Angle, couldn't find him, and those were at least okay promos and whatnot. And the one thing I did get was the whole aspect of him coming out and attacking Eric Young, because if you had seen from the other matches and everything, that Bobby Roode and Eric Young had a very good mutual respect for each other. So you'd figure come out, beat up the mutual friend in Eric Young, and then that would give a reason for the next week for Bobby Roode to another reason for Bobby Roode to go after Bobby Lashley for him taking out his friend. And out of nowhere, Austin Aries decides to interfere and interjects himself, basically saying, it's like, I'm not going to be the next one potentially attacked from behind, so I'm just going to meet you head on. Even if it felt like you're going like that here, I still don't see why Austin Aries needs to be interjected this week. It just feels like they were trying to interject the two of them for just getting a quick match in there in some way, shape, or form. Which, again, the match itself was, it was pretty good, and I felt like they did a good job of putting over how mad Lashley was throughout the entire match. Just how much he beat up Austin Aries, especially at the end, obviously, in Indiana double count out, and just putting him over more as a monster, and then probably leading into something more of a something more with another altercation between him and Bobby Lashley. And we'll see where they go with it next week. And but overall, like I said before, just a mismatch of things this week on Impact. Some came off at least good. Others you didn't really see why they were going with the storyline, but you at least got something good out of it. And others just really you're going this direction with this now instead of going, or you're going with this direction and kind of just throwing a curveball for the sake of throwing a curveball at everybody, and it just didn't come off good. But overall, maybe an okay show. But like I said, there was some really bad stuff in there that just, curveballs for the sake of curveballs, and did not come off good at all throughout this week. And that's my review this week for TNA Impact Wrestling, and thank you guys for watching.